Welcome to your Healing Place podcast with Linda and Mindy. It is our desire to address common concerns of how abortion and faith intersect in order to validate the emotional pain and grief that abortion can bring and give hope that recovery is possible. How do you say your last name?
Cudahy.
Cudahy. I always want to say hey.
Yeah.
Cudahy. Cudahy.
No, Cudahy.
All right. What is that?
It is Irish.
Irish.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. So your
Interesting.
husband's Irish. What are you?
My maiden name is Sullivan. So
Oh.
I'm Irish and German. So
Okay. Do you get burnt in the summer or do you get real dark?
I do not really go out in the sun in
Okay.
the summer because I burn and freckle.
Okay.
That Irish.
So that
Yep.
Irish, yeah.
Yep.
And likely get skin cancer, right? So
Yes. Well, I burn like a lobster. I mean, I'm so white that next to my husband, he's French blood and he just has, gets beautiful brown, when he goes out, and my daughter too, and my mom as well. But my dad, English, Irish, I got that just took over in us and we burn up crispy. And then the burn, everybody says, well, it turns to a tan. No, just
yeah,
disappears and goes white again.
heels.
Yes, it goes white again. So, okay. Well, Marilyn Cudahy is here today with us, with Linda and I. And so, Marilyn, I am going to just let you well, actually, before we do that, let me start over. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. So, Marilyn Cudahy is with us today with Linda and I to talk about her story. Marilyn is a leader with an Even Place, and you also are director of philanthropy, correct? With Pregnant with
Correct.
Positive Options in Michigan, and
Right.
you work with Deeper Still in Michigan. And
Mhm.
Marilyn contacted me a couple of years ago and wanted to go through Forgiven and Set Free, and the Lord did a great work in her heart that weekend. I'm not going to share that, Marilyn. I'm going to let you talk about whatever you want to talk about because you're going to share your story. But I'm just telling people how I know you. So, Marilyn, would you just start by telling us just a little bit about what led up to the event of your abortions and how many you've had?
Sure. Well, I was really brought up in a Christian home. So I knew God, so I thought. And when I was in high school, I wanted to be accepted and loved. So I decided to start drinking with the cool crowd. And perhaps if I made love to a guy, that he would like me and I would feel loved.
Mm.
Well, when I was going to start before college, the summer of college, I had a one night stand looking for that love and got pregnant. I didn't know anything about any other choice but abortion. I thought it was a blob of cells, and that way I could end this problem that I had, and go to college and live my life. So
Mhm.
that's really how I started my journey, and had my first one, and it just numbed me to lead to some other ones.
Other abortions. And
Yeah.
so would you did you start like drinking at that time? Because I know we talked
Yes.
about this before we got started here today.
Yeah.
You had a substance abuse issue. Was that an issue before this first abortion?
It wasn't, no, it was really, I would drink occasionally at a party and try to get with a guy. So I
Okay.
started to drink early, and that got worse as I went on and had more abortion, more abortion. I just was pretty helpless over alcohol.
And it was your coping mechanism.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about, do you want the rest of your story here in terms of your abortions?
Sure. So I went to college once again, searching for love, and my drinking started to increase then. I always was drunk when I had sex with someone because I felt ashamed of my body. I felt not confident. And so then after college, I met a guy and we were engaged to get married, and sex was um, accepted in my eyes then. So we had sex and I got pregnant again. And this time, both our parents were pretty strict Christians, and we didn't want to disappoint them. So we decided to have an abortion. That's the solution. Let the problem go away. And I went to the abortion clinic and had an abortion, and I came back and had complications. And thanks to going through an even place, I found out, um, digging deeper in my story, that I actually had twins and I had to go back and have the procedure again. So that was pretty devastating. I mean, that was a turn of, I think, when I started alcoholism. And all through my marriage, I drank. We eventually had a daughter, and she's today is 35. And then we started drifting apart, and I started looking outside of marriage to fulfill that hole in me with with guys. And so then I got pregnant again. And to tell you the truth, I didn't know whose baby it was.
Mm.
And you definitely would know whose baby it was when it came out. So I quietly got an abortion and eventually got a divorce from him and continued on being single, drinking for many, many years.
Wow. Okay, so I'm just going to recap what I think I heard you say just to make sure we understand the timeline here. So you went to right before college, right? You got pregnant and you had an
Right.
abortion,
Yep.
and then you met a man and you were engaged to be married and you got pregnant and you found out you had an abortion, right?
Yes.
And then
Correct.
um you got pregnant with him, you had a daughter, and then you got pregnant again, but you weren't sure it was with him or with another man you had an affair with, correct? So you
Correct.
had an abortion. So you knew about three abortions at this time, but it wasn't till years later that you discovered that you actually had twins in that second abortion. Is that correct?
It was through
Okay.
the healing process of Forgiven and Set Free study that
Yeah.
it was revealed to me that I did have two children that I aborted.
And so you grew up in a Christian home, and yet you're having these abortions, you're having affairs, you're having sex outside of marriage, you're having an alcohol problem. What became that point where you finally said, something's got to give, something's got to change?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I was single for a long time and continued to drink. And I actually hit a car when I was drinking.
Mm,
And I went to some classes to learn about what alcohol does to me. And I was still pretty much lying to myself. I thought I could drink normally. And then I looked in the mirror after I drank one day and I said, who is this person?
mm.
So that really led me back to God. And that led me to understanding that we have a forgiving God and a loving God. And that started my journey on um, being sober. I've been sober for over 21 years now.
Congratulations. Wow. That's amazing. And so as you turn back to God and you're with the Lord now and you're in the church, how long was it? Well, how long was it from your last abortion to that point?
Wow, that was probably 10 years.
10
So
years?
10 years I struggled um, on my own with this secret.
Hmm.
Um, and then I was introduced to some executive directors of a pregnancy center and told my story. The Holy Spirit told me, tell your story because they do good work. And so I told my story, and they said, have you ever been healed? And I'm like, I think I'm healed. I'm a Christian. And they said, we want you to go on a weekend retreat. And so when I did that, it showed me that I was looking horizontally for love when I should have been looking vertically.
Right.
And it opened up that communication with Christ deeper than I've ever experienced before.
And how long ago was that retreat?
That was in 2021. So,
Okay, only 4 years
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Okay, so when you came to us, it hadn't been that long.
No, with my healing, I came to you. I guess it was probably like a year later or so.
Must have been 2023 because you didn't come 22 we
Yes.
started. So it must have been
Okay.
2023
Yep.
because I remember it was the early spring, if not late winter, when you came to
Yeah.
us. And so okay, so about a year later, you're you're thinking something else has to give, like something else has to be done. Like how did you, what was going on that you
Yeah,
knew?
I felt pretty free, and I wanted to give back. And I Googled online like healing studies, and I saw Forgiven and Set Free at an even place. And I said, well, that sounds pretty interesting, and it's biblical. So that'll help me grow in my faith, even reinforcing what I already know. And it was through that that it's like God peeled back the onion more and more is revealed because really all my abortions I blacked out. I can't tell you the building I went in. I can't tell you the date, anything.
Wow. So when you came to us, you were just looking to help
I
women.
was,
You
yeah.
weren't thinking you were going to find anything else.
No.
That's
Surprise,
so funny.
surprise.
Because I remember I do remember our phone call because I couldn't tell what you exactly wanted. I knew you wanted to go through a group, but I wasn't sure what you wanted after that. You know, if it
Yeah.
was just to go through a group or if you wanted to help, what you wanted. And so you okay. So Todd, I want you to tell a little bit how you that what was happening before you came into that group and what kind of was your mindset, what you were doing to
Yeah.
prepare for that group.
Well, when I went to the Forgiven and Set Free study with Mindy, I my motive really was to go in here and kind of see how they do it and possibly become involved. Little did I know as I dug deeper and deeper in each chapter of the study, more was revealed. And I was enlightened. I learned stuff that I didn't know. I uh, realized some promises from God that were with me all along that I really didn't know. So it really strengthened my faith. So instead of me looking to help someone, it helped me immensely.
Yeah. Well, and it does because it's just the word of God. I mean, it just does
Yeah.
that.
And
Uh,
then God turned around, and you and I last year led a group together, and
Mhm.
just was amazed at how God worked through you and through the healing that He'd given you to bless the other women in our groups. And He's given you a great gift of discernment and
yeah.
insight.
Yeah.
So He's not through with any of us.
No.
Right.
Well, what I'm trying to get at, Marilyn, is I'm going to go back to when you came to us because that's when you learned about this fourth baby.
Yes, I
That's
did.
what I'm trying to get at. Is that part
What
of your
I,
story?
yes, what I did is, like I said earlier, I didn't know all the facts of my abortions,
Yeah.
even where it was at. So I decided to call my ex-husband up,
Okay.
and he nonchalantly said, "Oh," I said, I was having complications and they told me not to call the hospital. And that's kind of where I forgot what happened. And he said, "Oh, we went back to the abortion clinic and they did the procedure again because you had twins."
Oh, so he
And
knew all along.
that was just a hole in my heart. I was like,
Mm.
Yes.
oh, so that was revealed. And yeah, I didn't ever talk to him directly about the abortions. That was the first
Yeah.
time.
That's so common. So when I just I don't love that you learned that new information, but I love that the Lord had you already on a path to get into our group and go through our group and then reveal that information. So you were coming in for one reason, but he knew you were going to be there for quite another, and that was to honor that fourth baby because you hadn't done that
Yes.
yet. Because you'd
No,
been through that retreat for the other
right,
three.
right.
Yeah. So, you know, is that what caused you to want to come work with this? Because I know it was probably about a year before you said, "Well, I want to work with you guys." It wasn't
Right.
right away. What happened with that in that year?
Yeah. Well, in seeing other people in my group, I loved that there was younger people looking for healing earlier, and they didn't have to carry this hidden secret and shame and guilt for the years that I did. And I just thought that was beautiful that they could find Christ and get healing a lot quicker than I could. And yeah, that's what really I loved being part of it. And now I'm not shameful to talk about my abortions because it's his story how
That's
he
right.
redeemed me.
That's right. That's my favorite part, is it's no
Mhm.
longer really about us. This
No,
great God can come and redeem such ugliness in us. That's a
yes,
beautiful thing to tell a story about. It's like the woman at the well. Wait, come, let me tell you let me tell you all I've ever done. This
yeah,
guy told me everything I ever did. Let me tell you
yeah. So
about
he
him.
would stand up and say, "Guess what?
Uh,
I had
whole,
an abortion." If one person would come forward and say, "Me too," and I never told anyone, and they could get healing,
Freedom. Yeah.
freedom, absolutely.
yeah. What are you seeing God do in this ministry, Marilyn? Because you were, for that year after you finished the group, you stayed on our prayer team, you stayed in contact with us, and you and I think we chatted a couple of times by text or something.
Mhm.
And then, now you've come on as a group leader and you led a group with me and you've led a group with Linda and you're getting ready to lead a group with Ginger. And, what are you seeing God do?
I am seeing that there's so many hurting people out there that have the secret that um, they need freedom from it. And it doesn't matter what background, if you were brought up Christian or not, it the world just screams abortion and they don't scream any other choices. So that's why I'm really passionate of watching people. It's almost like their their blinders come off and they truly see God for who he is. And that just brings joy to my heart, to watch people go through that realization
Mhm.
and come in crying all sad and at the end be filled with joy.
Yeah. It's addicting actually to watch people come in very, very afraid actually because and we all were there unsure, is this really going to be able to help me? Is God really going to do anything for me?
Yeah,
And then at the other side going, yeah, absolutely, he's going to do
yeah.
something. And it's not because of me, it's because he's a good God.
Right. And I love learning from other people too. They encourage my walk with Christ too. We're all at different levels.
So
So
true.
I'm not any expert on the Bible, but I'm constantly learning and
Uh,
becoming closer in
yeah.
my relationship with Christ.
Yeah. Well, let's talk real quick before we end up this session. I want to talk about we were on together on our On Even Ground monthly support group call last night, and I was amazed that there was 16 of us. So there was four of us inside the organization and 12 women outside, and then a couple dropped off, and then a couple came on at the end because they had wrong time zones. So just tell me, you've been on there a couple times with Ginger now. Just tell me about your experience with On Even Ground.
Yeah, I thought that was a great place for people to be introduced to an even place and to feel comfortable. That's virtual platform. You know, you don't have to see anyone, and people are in different states, so they feel a little more open. I saw people from anywhere from years and years and years they had their abortion, and they're at different stages of healing to someone that was 2 months ago and very raw and crying. And the group was, even the other participants were able to pour into her and say, we've been there, we know it, you know,
Thank
you
you.
will get through this. So that was just a beautiful way to learn. And just open up the talk with the whole group and share experiences, strength, and hope.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was a really sweet time. It really was.
Mm,
And without having to have any commitment whatsoever, they can just come in, just contact us so that we know they're coming. We can get the Zoom link, get them to sign a disclaimer
right.
and a confidentiality form. But other than that, just after that
Yeah.
point, come and go as you feel what led. Yeah.
There was new people, there was people that have been through the monthly group before, and then there was people that have been through the healing process that were on there as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So true. Well,
mhm,
thank you for spending some time with us. I appreciate it.
you're you're welcome.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was inspired by the many conversations had through the years with women struggling from the emotional pain associated with abortion. Thank you for allowing us into your healing journey. Subscribe on major platforms where podcasts can be heard. Learn more about virtual abortion recovery healing at www.anevenplace.com. The link is in the show notes.